All right, are we going? We're going. I haven't done this before, and I'm not really sure who I'm talking to, but emails brought it to my attention that I graduated from law school 11 years ago today. 11 years, for those who follow wedding anniversaries, if you're celebrating an 11, that's steel. And of course, my brain went straight to Superman, right? Superman, the Man of Steel. And the thing I always loved, that Superman is the real identity and Clark Kent is the disguise. And thinking about 11 years of having a law license and all of the places that has led me, and how most of the best ones I don't get to talk about because of confidentiality, which I super respect. So March 2021 marked a halfway split in my career of being very legally focused and then transitioning back into the arts, which is how I grew up. I was really split and conflicted between law and the arts. I had forgotten that I used to be asked to give speeches. One of the speeches that I was asked to give related to my law school graduation. I replied, unfortunately, I will not be able to speak at tomorrow's ceremony. I'm in the middle of a trial with the DC U.S. Attorney's Office. Thanks for the kind words, and sorry it didn't work out. That was true. I was in the middle of a trial with the DC U.S. Attorney's Office. It was honestly still one of the high points of my career to date. Following that exchange, sorry you will be unable to attend tomorrow's event. Understand completely. Interested in making the speech available to the CUA community with my permission. Would I post the speech on the website? I wrote back that I'd thought it over and decided that I would prefer not to publish the speech online. I remember being pressed about that decision. And I can't remember why I made it. And since that time, at actually multiple points in my life, I had people reach out to me who did hear the speech, the one time I delivered it, and said that it meant something to them. And that's really cool, because it was only ever something I gave one time in one room to a group of people. And I did go into my email. I did find it. I wish I could tell you I remembered writing this, or I remember writing this, and I don't. But from another time and place, I will share this now, because I understand it better now. I have not practiced this, so... Shortly before I started law school, I visited a friend from college who would soon receive his law degree. After we finished catching up, he suddenly became very serious. He told me to handwrite a letter to myself before orientation explaining why I wanted to go to law school. Trust me, he insisted. Over the next 3 years, you're going to forget countless times. There will be some Tuesday night around 3 a.m. when you're finishing a second pot of coffee, fingertips stained from multicolored highlighters, toying with the idea of setting fire to your blue book. And you'll need a reminder of what you're working for, and it'll be more effective if that reminder comes directly from you. At the time, I thought the idea was somewhat silly, but I wrote the letter. I wrote about my goals of becoming a federal prosecutor, arguing in court like my grandpa had, long-term to establish a career as a nonfiction writer. You get the idea. Since this was the Catholic University of America, I'm not Catholic, but their scholarship package was kind. I feel it is only appropriate for me to share a confession with you. Something that has been my secret until now. It's not a secret anymore. That letter I mentioned, I actually wrote it twice. After my 1L year, I walked away from law school. I left an internship, requested a deferral from school, and returned to my old job. The thing is, my reasons for taking such drastic measures had nothing to do with what I'd written the previous summer. I hadn't changed my mind about my feelings for the law. The decision was, by and large, financial. As a native Detroiter, I've known too many hardworking people whose dreams are weighted down by crippling financial handicaps, and I was terrified by the thought of a future dictated not by passion, but loan payments. Later that summer, I shared these concerns with my boss, who promptly marched me into her office, shut the door, and proceeded to scold me as kindly as she possibly could for making such a foolish decision. I remember a lot of the things she said that day, but what struck me was her statement, "Juliet, I went to law school to survive." Up until that moment, I had always viewed becoming a lawyer as a professional choice, as a career decision. I hadn't thought about it as something personal. I mean, survival, that's heady stuff. Within hours of that conversation, I decided to rejoin the class of 2010, and I wrote a second draft of my letter, this time considering the question of why law school through a personal lens. That one explained that the legal profession first piqued my interest on account of two reasons: my trial attorney grandfather and superheroes. I was 4 years old. When I was very young, I suppose my grandfather... I told you this wasn't going to be perfect. When I was very young, I saw... He's right here. I'm realizing this. He's right here. When I was very young, I suppose I saw my grandfather as a sort of superhero. So it was all really part of the same idea. He was a man who saw the world around him and tried to use his profession to extract more from it. He didn't have super strength or advanced gadgetry, at least that I was aware of, so he used what he had. In his case, it was his mind and his extraordinary ability to get jurors to change theirs. When I read comics as a kid, I saw their heroes and heroines in a similar light, as individuals who established themselves as businessmen and reporters and professors and lawyers, but they all had something more to them, something special and very personal, and that was the key not only to the success of their careers, but their survival. The something more didn't come from any profession, it came from bringing very personal things to the profession. I urge you, fellow graduates, to see your place in the legal profession not as a channel for who you want to be, but for who you already are. Do this, and it is impossible to fail. I think a lot of you already do this, whether consciously or not. In fact, what I love most about this law school is that based on my experience here, I genuinely believe that its students come for personal reasons. We seek more than a degree, more than a license, more than a paycheck. I would further argue that in order to be a person who seeks something more, you are also a person who has something more. Starting today, we all get to be superheroes. And being a superhero, that's recession-proof. God bless. If that was helpful to you,